enable Brody to continue this weird obsession with your 5-year-old daughter.
Oh, listen, this was not the only cuckoo stuff that was going on. You guys, I'm sure, read the stuff about George was going around to all of her friends, his wife's friends, or now ex-wife's friends, saying that she had been unfaithful to him, and I believe it was with Brody, and trying to get them to launch a campaign to get her to write letters of apology to him for doing so. I mean, like, it's obvious that this guy was always coming at her with some random off-the-wall demand / request.
Yeah.
Just from the few stories that I picked up.
Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of a mess.
It's so sad. Mental illness, tragedy all the way around.
It can really be really...
everybody gets
for
it.
everybody. As Joe was asking about earlier, though, Brody died of throat cancer in 1981, we think. So George was actually the one who signed Brody's death certificate.
So he was still a licensed physician then?
He was.
In 1981?
He was practicing medicine the whole time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was he writing prescriptions for medical marijuana or something like that?
I don't believe so. No.
It wasn't.
They didn't really have that in
thing.
California back in those days, I know.
Yeah. And the death certificate was totally empty other than the date of death.
Didn't have a cause of death? Isn't that kind of required?
Cancer. It was throat cancer, and it was the date of death, and even that is in question. There's no birth date, no social security number, no important information.
No identifying anything.
And after Brody passed away, George burned everything. Like, not the hotel, obviously, but, like, all of the paperwork.
The only stuff that survived just didn't happen to be in his apartment, right?
It was in a safety deposit box that he had no access to.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was, like, all of Brody's personal effects, everything of all of George's paper, everything pertaining to Anna that was in the hotel room, all of it just burned. Just gone.
Anybody know what happened to Brody's body?
I don't know, buried, cremated? I have no idea.
What's another mystery for us to tackle? Brody's body.
I think it was officially disposed of.
Yeah, in a
normal,
way.
Sanctioned manner.
A normal, okay way. Yeah. Steve, I think you mentioned earlier Doug French. I mean, I gave you his name.
Yeah.
Doug French was not an actual private investigator, but
he was a concerned friend.
He was a friend of the family.
Really involved.
Actually, we are all private investigators in a way.
That's true. Yeah, he wasn't a licensed private investigator.
Yeah,
because that is a thing.
Yeah,
and he did a stakeout of he followed George around a lot. He and the family, I guess, really felt that George and Brody were probably involved in Anna's disappearance. So he did a stakeout of the shady hotel that George and Brody shared. And he said he got a hotel room next to theirs, but it was actually across the alley. No, he started staking out nowhere, and he just watching them, just trying to follow them around. And then he got a hotel room, but it was my understanding that it was still across an alley, like a small alley.
Well, first he was in a van.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He was just following them around.
Living in a van.
He lived in a van across the street from their hotel.
Living in a van in the Tenderloin. What a joy that would be.
Yeah.
With garbage bags taped in the windows, so that thing was nice and cool all day long.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then he moved into the apartment across the alley from there.
Yeah, but it's, crappy. It's like film noir crappy hotel rooms where you can hear everything from across the alley. So
and
maybe,
nothing but cockroaches.
Maybe everything, maybe not. Yeah. After many days of getting no useful information, basically just hearing phone conversations from...
this is once he got the room right next door to theirs.
I thought it was still across the way, but either way...
No, because his initial stuff said that they kept the blinds down, except for, say, like the last two or... So he could see a little bit through the windows, but that's all he could see was a little bit of their comings and goings, and then he managed to get a room in the same apartment, or the same building and the same floor, and then somehow finagled his way into the apartment right next door, and that's where a lot of his...
surveillance.
Useless damning information comes from.
Okay, well...
But he never actually took the initiative and just went and broke into their apartment
Well,
to
see
see what was in there?
He did something slightly different.
Yeah. Basically, he was getting no good information. He was just hearing Brody answer the phone and say, well, maybe you shouldn't have tuna for lunch. Or whatever. Or whatever weird decision stuff was happening. And so finally he decided to bait them. And he sent a letter to George at George's place of work at one of the hospitals he worked at that basically said, if you know anything about Anna's disappearance, I beg of you, please come find me, meet with me and tell me what you know.
Yeah, asking for anything, essentially.
Outside of Brody's control. And
so he signed the letter, his own name and everything?
Yeah, and gave him his phone number. And
Well, he gave him a phone number. I don't know.
A phone number that he had access to, and George didn't respond to that to Doug, but he went home and told Brody about it, and George mumbled, I'm glad that Todd is dead, or something like that.
Now, remember, this is all with the old school method of listening to the wall.
Putting your ear to the wall.
To the wall, or the empty glass to the wall. And he apparently recorded a whole bunch of their conversations. And I remember reading, I think it's him that had the blog post, and it's really long, and it's really strangely written and kind of meandering. But he talks about having the relevant bits transcribed, yet I've not been able to find the relevant bits.
I haven't either.
Yeah.
And actually, there's one weird thing about this story that I just want to bring up really quickly. There was a Wikipedia page.
Yeah, how does that get taken down?
It's been removed. So you can see it. Well, we often don't post links to Wikipedia pages, but we will post this link because you have to go through the web archive to get it. But I don't understand why it was removed. It's weird.
That's rather odd. Yeah, don't they usually have like documentation of things like that?
Yeah, I just wasn't able to find any of that. So I don't really know. There's just like a lot of weird stuff that happens around this case. But I agree, I wasn't able to find any of the transcribed relevant bits or anything like that. One thing I will say is that it's reported that George never reached out to Michaela about Anna's disappearance. The only thing he ever said to anybody
he's a gem here.
Was he called his lawyer to see if he could stop paying child support payments because Anna had disappeared.
Yeah,
that was a stand-up guy right there.
That was his only reaction to his 5-year-old going missing. And it sounds like he didn't really have a relationship with her, right? It doesn't seem like he got visit days and blah, 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 blah.
But if he is also as deeply... I'm trying to be gentle about this. If he is as far into it in his mental illness as we all kind of believe he probably was, then she wasn't part of his reality. So it's kind of understandable that the only time he thinks about it is the once a month when he has to write a check. And that's all she is to him.
Well, it could also be, I mean, if he truly believed, as he was going around saying to people, that his wife was unfaithful to him, if he truly believed that, he might have very well thought Anna was not even his daughter. And so...
No, it would have been Brody's daughter, and that's somehow even weirder.
It is weirder, and but yeah, I know. But, you know, that's the thing I really don't get. If he truly believed that Brody had a thing with his wife, why is he living with this guy? Why doesn't he like murder the guy? Isn't that what you're supposed to do?
I have a lot of questions about his behavior, and I think a lot of it probably does come down to the mental illness that he was suffering. But the bigger question I have with this theory is they weren't hiding anyone in their hotel room.
Nope.
Brody didn't abscond with Anna. It would have been like kidnap and send her away, but they didn't go on trips to visit anyone. So like, what was the motive behind it?
Well, but there was a significant portion of time that elapsed between when she disappeared and when this friend did his quote-unquote stakeout of George Square.
Plenty of time to get rid of the body, or
right.
Or
I mean, I get the feeling it was at least 6 months or a year later. So if indeed they had taken her, then there was tons of time for her to have been lost in the streets of the Tenderloin, if anything else, because they obviously weren't paying attention to her. I mean, there's tons of times for anything to have happened to that kid if indeed they were the young man and the old man or older man in the panel van.
Yeah, it's really tricky because there's no actual evidence for this.
Yeah,
right.
not at all.
We
Yeah.
can all agree that there were some weird things going on at that time, just with the relationship and blah blah blah. But there's no actual evidence that they had anything to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, I don't see the motive. I just don't.
Well, I can see one motive, which is that if he didn't want to pay child support, then getting rid of Anna, it would relieve him of that problem.
I gotta tell you, there's an easier way to solve that problem, and that is just to not write the check.
You can always do that.
Because there's a lot of dudes who do that everywhere.
You
I
can
don't have
always
the
skip-
money, which
yeah.
is a total lie, but you just skip out on it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Or you
Dead be
could-
dead.
Yeah, or leave town and change your name. There's all kinds of ways to get away from
Become
that.
George Brody. Who
Yeah.
knows? Yeah.
Brody George.
Yeah, Brody George and George Brody. The traveling duo. Yeah, I mean, I think overall
Be a great vaudeville act.
something bad probably happened to Anna, but I don't have a good sense of what that was.
I think there's a 100% chance of that, yeah.
I think that, personally, my belief is that she went into the creek and she went into the ocean and she was sucked out into the tide, and
Maybe? I don't know.
her remains were never to be found
Oh, I
because
guess
we know what the ocean does to bodies.
There is one more theory.
Oh,
She fell into Neverland
Oh, there you go.
or Wonderland, and she's there being very happy.
with Alice
Yeah.
and the rabbit.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Good for her.
I think
hope
that's what happened.
I hope that's what happened, but
Yeah.
I'll take that. Or she went to Nevermore.
We agree.
Yeah, I'm not going to buy. I don't buy the creek theory. It's a tiny little creek, and it dumps right onto the beach. I don't think her body would have made it across the beach and into the ocean. So I'm buying somebody abducted her for some God knows what reason.
Yeah, I don't.
Although even that doesn't make any sense because, oh my God, I mean, in a rural area like that where you're going to stick out like a sore thumb, there's so many better places to go to find and abduct a little kid
Yeah.
than that place.
Yeah,
Which is probably why the two Georges make the most sense as suspects.
But
even
there's
though they had no
no-
motive and there's no evidence, of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I mean, so
almost
it's,
impossible.
yeah, which
Yeah.
takes us back to maybe the creek ain't so bad after all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
It's just
but,
one of those really
yeah.
frustrating circular cases.
Yeah.
So now you guys have to deal with it.
Da da da.
Haha.
Yeah. So
Dagger it.
I guess if you want to see that link to the wiki or a couple other links to some research, if you want to get merch, if you want a link to our episode list,
Oh yeah, the chronological list.
if you just want to hang out on our website, that website is thinkingsidewayspodcast.com.
It's got a great color palette.
It does. It's really beautiful. You can listen to the episodes
Very
there.
Halloween-y.
You can listen to or download the episodes there, or you can do that pretty much anywhere else. iTunes, Spotify,
Oh, Spotify, that's right. We're on Spotify now.
Stitcher,
Google. Yeah.
Google, or Stitcher Premium, which
Yep.
is the
Ooh,
best way.
That is the shit.
Which-
I love that. Yeah.
Which, by the way, if you're not on Stitcher Premium yet, if you want to be, you can go to stitcher.com/thinkingsideways and use the promo code sideways to get a free month when you sign up for a year. And with
You got to
that,
sign up for the 12-month plan up front to get that.
yeah, but with that, you get bonus content once a month, and you get ad-free episodes 4 days early. So it's pretty much worth it, obviously. And, of course, as always, if you do stream through something and you haven't yet, if you want to leave a comment and a rating of our show, that's how other people find us, which is always great. If you want to connect with us on social media, we have a Facebook page and a group. Like the page, join the group. There's 2 questions you have to answer. Just answer them. They're easy. We have Twitter, which is Thinkin' Sideways. We have Instagram, which is Thinking Sideways Podcast. And we have a subreddit, which is Thinking Sideways.
So we're all over the place.
We are.
Yeah.
We're kind of like the flu. We're everywhere.
Yeah.
Like
Or
the flu,
hay fever.
but healthier.
Hay fever.
No,
Yeah.
we're like allergies.
We are.
We're everywhere.
We absolutely are allergies.
I think we're like sunshine.
Okay.
I
Well,
think I like that one better.
sunshine's not everywhere, but that's okay.
Sunshine is not everywhere all the time.
Yeah.
It's
If you...
most-
We're like air.
Yeah, I guess. I don't really know
Sorry.
what we're like. So
We'll stop.
Also, if you want to tell us what we're like, you can do that by sending us an email. The email address is thinkingsidewayspodcast@gmail.com. And yeah, I think that's everything. I think we're going to get out of here and stop being sad.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Yeah. All right.
Stay away from creeks.
Yeah.
Bye,
And
everybody.
cricks.
Cricks, yeah. Cricks are the worst.
Cricks and
Yeah.
creeks.
Get one in your neck. You'll
Yeah,
never get rid of it.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thinking Sideways is not brought to you by Blue Rugs. Instead, it's supported by the generous donations of our listeners on Patreon. Visit patreon.com/thinkingsideways to learn more. And thanks.
Thinking Sideways.
I don't understand.
Does not compute.
You never know.
Insufficient data to formulate a reply.
What?
Stories of things we simply don't know the answer to.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Thinking Sideways, the podcast. I am Devin, joined per usual by
Joe.
and
Steve.
Sup.
Here we
Here we are.
Ready to solve another groovy mystery?
Yeah. This week we're going to talk about the disappearance of Rebecca Corium. This was originally suggested by Grace via email in like April of 2015.
A while ago.
A while ago, which seems weird because that does literally seem like that was a few months ago to me, but
Time
Guess
goes
what?
It was
by
like a
fast.
year.
The middle of the summer of 2016
yeah, I know.
already.
I'm not really ready for that idea yet. But this is a mystery that I've known about for a while and has been on my radar for a while. It's just this side of 5 years old, so we're going to do it.
Perfect.
I'm just going to do a quick little summary. Rebecca was 24 years old when she disappeared from a cruise ship. Yes, we're doing a cruise ship mystery. No, it's not the one you want.
Yeah, it's not about the other girl that disappeared
It's
from
not,
the cruise ship.
not about...
Or that other guy.
yeah, or that other person.
Or the
Yeah.
hundreds of
Turns
people.
out there are lots of them,
Lots
but
of-
we'll talk
yeah.
about that in a minute. And, you know, I think this is on that drinking game that people keep talking about, but you may or may not know that I worked on a cruise ship for a while. And actually, the reason that I know about this case is I've known about it pretty much since it happened, because twice a week, I believe it was. 3 times a week. Twice a week. And then my last day on a cruise ship was literally like 3 days after she disappeared.
Okay, so what are we doing? The story? Or?
Yeah, let's do the story.
Okay,
Yeah.
because there's a whole bunch here.
There's
There's quite a lot of story
a lot
for
of stuff here, yeah.
For it seemed kind of a simpler mystery when you first sent it over, so I was really surprised at how much content there was to this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a
I
good
can see
amount.
why people are excited about it.
Yeah, maybe, kind of. I don't know.
It's a little mysterious.
Rebecca was attending Plymouth University, studying sports science and youth studies. When she was a teen, she was a British Army cadet, and she taught sports at Camp America in Maine. Rebecca was from Chester, England. In 2010, Rebecca interviewed for Disney Cruise Lines and was offered a job, which is actually pretty competitive. Unlike the ship I was on, she got to go to Disneyland in Florida for training, which I'm super jealous about.
Yeah. Disney World, right?
Disney World, yeah,
Yeah.
in Florida.
I want to go to the one in China.
It just opened. I actually have a friend who opened that one.
Really?
Yeah.
Really interested to see
She's
that
the
one.
lead of the pyrotechnics department there.
Oh,
That's kind of awesome
cool.
job.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Because I've been to Euro Disney, and it's a trip to be in Disneyland in another language. And I sort of maybe kind of know some of what's going on, but I'd really like to see it in the one that's in China.
I also, while I'm in
The one in
China,
Japan.
while I'm in China, I want to go see that replica of the Titanic that guy's building.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
going to be awesome.
Yes, it is.
I want to see the miniature reproduction of the Great Wall as
Okay,
well.
so
Yeah.
Rebecca was placed on the Disney Dream. I'm pretty sure that's the one. It never really says, but that was the one that I was with, and it's the contract that it looked like she was on. So, and
It's
for the
the one that's
record, I
referenced
keep
most
saying this.
places.
I never met Rebecca or anything like that, so don't worry. But I know people who worked with her. So she was on a 4-month contract. She did a 2-month vacation in between contracts, which is pretty typical. And then she did her next contract on the Disney Wonder, which ports out of LA. And I think her first cruise was actually a relocate cruise because when they talk about her time on that cruise ship, they talk about going through the Panama Canal. And a relocate, for those who are unfamiliar, is outwardly facing, called a repositioning, which basically a lot of cruise ships do winter kind of bad months